Peace, family. It's your boy DarkIchigo here, back with another video. I know it's been a while, but I'm here. I've been doing a lot of research. Obviously, what's been going on, we all been going through it, and I have nothing but time as of now. So I'm trying to use it wisely. So the topic at hand is, I think I'm gonna sum this up and say, are we going back to the future? And what does that mean? They say if you study the past, you'll see where we're going. Not only history, but also culture, right? I'm more focusing on the culture. If you see the culture, I'm only speaking about American lands because that's where I am and this is what I was born into. But obviously there was something here before it was America. If you study that history first, or her story first, you'll see where we are today. We're not really that different. Yes, technology has been implemented, but it's just artificial. You got to get to the real source, right? So with that being at hand, most of you that know me, and those of you who are getting to know me, know that I have an obsession with shamanic practices. I always refer to myself as a shaman. First and foremost, in order to be a shaman, you have to be able to heal yourself. None of us are perfect, but a lot of us are toxic due to Americanized ways. That's just in their culture. Some of us more toxic than others, but that's a whole nother conversation. Usually toxic gets binded to the term masculinity, but what women tend to acknowledge is that femininity can be toxic too. So, moving on. My source of reference is this book here called Shamanic Experience by Kenneth Meadows. It's been a good read. One of the best reads I've read in a while. It really opened my eyes to a lot. Things that I was always weary about, but it broadened the perspective, or cleared the perspective, I should say. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and dive deep. I'm not going to summarize the whole thing, but there's one specific topic at hand. Because obviously here in America, we need a lot of healing. And one of the sections that stuck out the most was the section called medicine tools. Tools that shamans use to heal not only themselves, but everyone around them who needed it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and dive deep into the first one. The first one being an altar, right? When you hear the word altar, what is the first thing that comes to mind, or should come to mind? A church, right? You think of a church, and you think of the pastor up in an altar, right? I'm gonna go ahead and read the definition and let that stimulate a little bit. A focusing area, a space where visible and invisible realms merge, should be an elevated platform. Now, notice that they said a space where visible and invisible realms merge. Now, that a church should have been the first thing to come to mind. You know that the visible realms are, things like stained glass, the false prophet of Jesus that they show on the wall, that resembles a particular demographic of man. But when you actually read the Bible, it describes a different looking man, but that's a whole nother topic. With copper skin, long woolly hair. I want to focus more on the invisible realms. The pastor, right? He uses powers that most of us wasn't or aren't aware of. And what powers are those? What realms is he diving into? The power of alchemy. Now, alchemy is the mastery of words and sounds and vibrations. I don't know if most of you are fond with the Japanese study of that one scientist who done his own study. Can't remember his name, but he did his own study on water and how words and vibrations and frequencies affect the structure of water. And by humans being 70% made out of water, you kind of see where I'm going with this, but I'm going to let that marinate. Alchemy, right? Now, many people that are Christians, I can almost guarantee, actually haven't read the Bible in its entirety, nor do they actually have the common sense, which is supposed to be common, but it's not, to actually comprehend what they're reading, right? Or nor do they have the critical thinking that is needed to decipher the Bible. So most of them are just being led astray by the pastor, if you will. He's only reading specific parts of the Bible that subscribes to his particular doctrine or his agenda, right? So, are you guys aware of the magic that a pastor actually holds? His ability to either lead you, not all, just most, his ability to either lead you to the light or lead you to the dark. Keep you blinded, right? Because they say that your third eye, right, is responsible for thought or vision. Or vision is just, vision just means thought. Insight. If you have sight to see out, you have to have sight to see in too, right? As above, so below. As within, as without. Like Lauryn Hill said, how you gonna win if you're not right within, right? Moving on to the next one, candles. Now, I don't know why when I hear candles, and by the way, these are medicine tools, all used by shamans to heal back then. But you can, as I go through them, you'll begin to understand how they're still here in modern day. I don't know why when I hear candles, it makes me think of like black women coming home from a long, stressful day and need some space to unwind. So they get in the bathtub and do what? In the dark sometimes too, mostly too, and light candles. They have their wine, their blunt, their whiskey, or whatever they might use to, help them relax, help them unwind. But the candles are definitely prevalent. And the use of definition that they gave for that, the candle flame represents the source of light, everything in existence, but also our own individual inner light, free acting and protection and illuminating mode. Now, if any of you seen my previous videos, you know that I've touched on the correlation between the sun and the man and the moon and the woman. How the man is driven by the sun, aka the light, and the woman is driven by the moon, aka the darkness. You'll see how I'm about to draw the connection between the candle light and the sun and the dark. How most women take a bath in the dark. Water helps to relax. It's good. Never mind. So the candle and the dark represents the little light of sight, right? It gives vision. If we kind of strayed away from these old habits, hopefully this video will make you want to tap into your inner shaman. But I want to move into the third one, drum. This one's really going to strike a nerve, or it should. So the definition first is the drum gives the shaman access to the worlds. It is used to induce altered awareness so that the perceptions are extended to deeper levels where shamanic work can be done. This also symbolizes life force, which is also synchronized to the heartbeat. Now, most of us know when you hear drum, first thing to come to mind should be like African cultures, how all their ceremonies and festivals, etc., are driven by drums. They say drums are the way to the soul, right? But how do I transition this into the modern day? We all know that popular music is big all around the world. And what is the pop music of today? Rap, right? And more specifically, I'm going to talk about trap rap. When you hear trap rap, what is the driven force behind it? It's drums, right? But more specifically, what kind of drums? 808s, right? They trap you at a lower frequency. It's the reason why Kanye West made 808s a heartbreak. You know that men aren't really in tune with their emotional side or dealing with any emotions towards a woman. So he combined the two, the negative and the positive, he used the drums to draw the men in, right? Because men just, when you hear the trap beat, men tend to do this a lot, bob their head. And women tend to get that vibration in the lower. They start to gyrate their hips and twerk their butt, right? You can see the difference between how drums penetrate men and women differently. Not that they can't do both, but that's besides the point. Moving on. Pouches and power bags. Now, I don't know how I feel about that term, but in today's society, they're more referred to as a satchel or a man purse or whatever. You know, Pookie and Ray Ray in the hood that carries their Louis Vuitton and Gucci little man bags that go around them. Now, to correlate this to old times, the Aborigines and natives, keep this in mind. This is what we're talking about here, shamanic experiences. The shamans of those times used those bags to keep a collection of crystals, stones, herbs, etc. They even decorated them with logos and symbols that gave them a relevance to the owner. Now, when you see the Gucci ones that the hood dudes wear, that Pookie and Ray Ray wear, they usually have a snake on them, which is Gucci, right? And we all know the snake correlates to awakening, kundalini, rising, whatever term you want to insert there. But it shows the rising of what? Of something, right? I'm not going to elaborate. I'm going to leave that to you. But more importantly, it says the shamans use those things for crystal, stones, and herbs. Now, in the fast forward that to modern day times, we know Pookie and Ray Ray ain't got no crystals or stones in there, but we know he got some kind of herb in there, right? So you can kind of see where I'm going with this. But the rattle, right? The rattle is an ancient sonic device which is used to create an atmosphere of expectancy and a process of change from one level of reality to another. The sound it makes relaxes the mind and slows the brain pattern, and removing the barrier between perception of the material world and realms of mental and spiritual realities. A bridge between worlds, which is why babies love them. When your baby's crying, something about that rattle and the sound that it makes puts their mind and their body at ease and their spirit at ease. Now we know adults don't use them, but the rattle eventually evolved into the tambourine, right? Same sound. Just, they may look different, but they do it for the same purpose. Now, how I said sounds invoke certain things in you. When you hear that rattle, it should invoke a sense of calm. It opens up your subconscious mind, even if you're aware of it or not, so that things can be injected into it. You can see how the modern man kind of uses those things. But moving on. Smudging. To smudge is to purify with smoke from sacred herbs, sage, cedar, sweetgrass, or lavender, for spiritual work. Now, it's funny that on Twitter I read a tweet that I don't remember who said it, but one person was like, "How you lighting sage when you the damn devil?" And that cracked me up. For many reasons, but I'm not going to elaborate. I'll do that in a later video. But I'm just going to say, hey, dog days are here. If that gives you a hint. And if you're familiar with anagrams, you should know what dog really means. So, the talking stick, right? No, go back to smudge. For a while, we've been led and driven by our own spirit. But due to an unfortunate circumstances of events, we lost our freedom. And the powers that be, over the time of this history, I would say roughly 400 years, inserted a lower frequency to us, right? And they fight tooth and nail to continuously keep us trapped, like the trap music and that lower frequency, because they know our true potential and what we're capable of once we reach our highest pinnacle, Mount Zion, if you will, or the crown. Probably why that's the coronavirus is out there. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the talking stick. The talking stick is used to help clarify thoughts so that they can be expressed clearly. It is used to connect the air to the earth, the realm of thought, and with the physical reality it conveys knowledge and wisdom. It was also passed around to practice good listening and speaking skills. The person holding it was the talker during the gathering. So in those old times, there was a stick that they designated to practice good skills of listening and speaking. So whoever had the stick was the only one that was able to speak, while everyone else had to listen. And when you passed that stick to the next person, they were the next upcoming speaker, and etc. It embedded good skills, talking and listening. How many times have you heard your woman say, or your man say, don't listen, you just talk? You gotta be good at both. It's a balance. You gotta be good, equally as good as listening as you are at talking. But fast forward that to modern day, those of you that are my chiefers, no pun intended, my chiefers, that, you know, roll your blunt or your joint, more importantly your blunt, because natives definitely smoked tobacco. Maybe not the kind of cut tobacco we smoke with all the added chemicals and whatnot, but tobacco was definitely prevalent. But to my chiefers, right, my stoners, how many of us get upset when the person holding the blunt talks too much? How backwards are we? How in the backwards of society? How much of a backwards way of thinking do they have us? The undoing of our real cultural roots. Next time you're in your cipher and that person's talking too much with the blunt, maybe you should listen. The wand, right? It has been a symbol of high office and an emblem of rulership and authority, and shamanically, it indicates the axis that connects the solstices. Sun, the power of masculine, and the moon, the power of feminine. As I already went through in my old video, one of my previous videos, the man is driven by the sun, and the woman is driven by the moon. And you think that's pseudoscience? Use your own critical thinking to draw your own conclusion. Why is it, men, that we wake up in the morning with morning cock? Just like the cock rises in the morning, cock-a-doodle-doo. And the woman, you know, left to her own freedom, not tampered by any contraceptives. Her period is actually driven by the moon. And to dive even deeper, you know, if a woman is actually on her natural flow, you know, flow is actually flowing naturally. The alpha woman in a pack of women, all of the women in her pack, their periods actually follow the alpha cycle. So that's how you know who's actually alpha in the group. If you're in a group of women and they're all on their periods at the same time, figure out whose cycle they're actually following, whose frequency they're actually following. But this is just a few. I didn't want to make this video too deep. I just wanted to, you know, sum up a few things from the past, you know, the Aborigines, the original ones to do this thing, to show you what we're really doing. But all this stuff isn't really new. It just has a little twist, you know, because we give the illusion of freedom with a bunch of limitations to it, right? But yeah, just like one of my favorites, one of my favorite people I subscribe to on YouTube says, I'm just here to make you think, that's all. And if you want to call this pseudo or whatever, how about you get the book for yourself and, you know, draw your own conclusions. Use your own critical thinking. Common sense isn't so common, unfortunately, so, you know, it might be a little hard for us. So, I mean, here it is again. And, again, that's Shamanic Experience by Kenneth Meadows. And, yeah. On that note, I need you guys to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell at the top. And if you feel a little generous, or you just want to, feel the need to donate, again, my Cash App is BROWNICHIGO, and that's Brown Ichigo, and that's me. And on that note, peace, and love, joy. Make good use and time of your quarantine freedom for now, and turn that energy to something creative. Use that to pull away from the system and find a different way, to make income outside of the system, outside of the matrix. Make use of this time. I know it's all about family and reconnecting with that significant other or friends, etc., but make sure you use that time for you too, to find a positive outlet, somewhere you can have a second income of money once we go back to working, right? Because hypothetically speaking, of course, if we was to move to a cashless society, you should already have something in play to be able to get get your own income, right? On that note, peace. I love y'all. Stay steezy. Drink those sekis or not, and enjoy.